Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So for today's card we're going to be having a little bit of a play, doing a little bit of experimenting, and I'm hoping to come up with slightly more of a masculine style card here, but these are some of the products that I've picked out to use. So this is the Message in a Bottle stamp set. This was from the Creative Stamping issue. So we're gonna maybe use some of, you've got the boats and things in here, possibly some of the sentiments, I'm not 100% sure. We've got the 6x6 stencil that goes with this set, and then I did pull out this is called World Map, and this is by Couture Creations. So this is just an embossing folder. I think it belonged to my nan, and I've never actually used it, but I thought maybe we'd give it a go again, trying to make a masculine card for today's video. And what's kind of inspired me a little bit is I picked up another pack of these mini distress ink cubes. So we've got the antique linen, so these finally have turned up, which I wanted for the no line watercolouring, but we've also got walnut stain, vintage photo and black soot. So not necessarily colours that I would tend to gravitate towards, but again, I thought I was looking at this embossing folder and I thought maybe, you know, we could create something a little bit vintage, a little bit old looking. Again, then the Message in the Bottle seemed to just kind of go with that nautical theme. So I'm not really sure where this card is going to go today. I don't know if it's going to turn out to be rubbish or it could be absolutely amazing, but we're just going to do a little bit of experimenting and just sort of see what happens. And I think that is kind of the great thing about just pulling out products and just saying, right, I'm going to use this, this and this, and we're just going to see what's happened. So let's get into today's video. So we're going to take a piece of watercolour cardstock here. So this is the hot press, this is a smooth. I used this in one of my previous videos, I think it was last week I showed this. So we're going to use a bit of this because it's sort of that proper watercolour card. So I think it's going to work really well. So I want to do a little bit of sort of ink smooshing and things before I run this through the embossing folder. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of ink smooshing and things to begin with. So I'm going to grab my water mister. So again, we have got our distress inks. I'm going to pop down my messy mat for this. So what I'm going to start with is maybe let's go in with a bit of walnut stain. So again, I don't really know how this is going to come out, so we'll just give it a go. Put in a bit of vintage photo there as well. Perfect. Then we're going to mist this up nicely, and the great thing about using a mat like this, or you do of course have then this additional mat for your glass mat, is then it's going to bead up. It doesn't do that on the glass, but it does on a surface like this. Next, I'm literally just going to add just a little bit of water to my cardstock just to help get that all moving around. And I'm also going to sort of dry off as I go as well, just so then we get some sort of nice layers in here. So I'm not going to dry this totally. But we do just want to get those really beautiful layers going on. So let's come back in, pick up a little bit more of that colour. So it is kind of mixing together quite nicely at the moment. I do want to have a little bit more kind of separation with this colour, but we can always come back in and, like I said, do sort of lots of layers. So let's try and get it sort of all over if we've got sections where the colour's not being picked up on yet. Let's just come in with that. So again, we're just making a big old mess to begin with, but this is, you know, this is our base layer, so we're just gonna, you know, we're just gonna kind of go from here really. So we're just gonna grab a couple of sheets of paper towel as well, and then just where it's sort of pooling at the bottom, I'm literally just gonna wipe a little bit of that up. So I'm literally just gonna kind of dab it in, and that's just gonna add more of these kind of spots to the background. And already just gonna think about the cardstock here. I can see that this cardstock is gonna hold up really nicely in comparison to any of the other ones that I've used. Like I said before, I've had that sort of Crafter's Companion, and yeah, it's really not kind of held up too well. when you do sort of things like this. So I'm really excited actually just to sort of be using this cardstock a little bit more. It's always about having the right kind of tools. So let's just dry this off. So you can see I'm literally just adding sort of more and more layers. So I've got a little bit here. I'm actually just going to spritz that directly onto the paper, just to help break up that colour. But I want to get all of these really lovely water spots we've got going on. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is, so I could pick this up. So let's grab another piece of card. Okay, so I have just cut down another piece of card, but I don't want to waste any of this. This is all goodness. Let me just move this over a little bit so you can kind of see. So this is, you know, this is really great ink on here. So all I'm going to do is do just a little bit of like second generation ink smooshing. Just spritz our paper, just get that sort of moving. You know, so this is then just going to be a background that we can have ready to go if we need to. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and we can just keep bringing that in and just layering that up as well. And then I'm just going to take my microfiber cloth. Let's just tidy that up a little bit, tidy as we go. I'm going to bring in a little bit more of that vintage photo, and I'm literally just popping that one down now. Not spritzed as much water here, and then it's just going to add that colour without it mixing too much then into that walnut stain as well. So let's bring our other background back in, add that little bit of colour. Perfect. Let's bring a little bit of that walnut stain, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz kind of even less of this, so we get smaller beads, and I'm hoping that is just gonna add some extra little spots that we've got around here. You know, we want to keep all of that in. It's sort of going to add, you know, just again some texture and just some look to the background, and it almost gives it a little bit of like a burnt, sort of charred type of look, which I actually think is pretty cool. And again, this isn't a normal kind of colour combination that I would sort of go for, and this is going to be again perfect for any sort of masculine cards. You can pair this with sort of, you know, different kinds of masculine themed, whether it's cars or I don't know, cowboys, you know, whatever it might be. It's just going to be ideal. Okay, so let's again just bring back our other background. So let's just kind of stamp this, you know, so again we just got a nice bit of texture in there. So I think I actually want to add maybe just like an extra little colour in here somewhere. I'm thinking like something a little bit brighter. So recently Tim Holtz brought out his new salvaged patina colour, and when I watched his live on YouTube when he released that and sort of showed you the colours and different projects and stuff, obviously they're very sort of grunge style that they go with, and they kind of mixed it all in. I don't have the salvaged patina colour, but I might maybe try a bit of peacock's feathers. I don't know if this is going to work. It might be just entirely ruins it, but it might also just add a really cool bit of, you know, just an extra bit of colour in there. Yeah, and I think it, you know, I think that's going to look really great. So we're just going to keep going in. I'm trying to just kind of dab it rather than sort of smushing it. So what I might also try is, so I've got that peacock's feathers in the Distress Oxide. Let's just see what this does. So I'm going to do just one smush, two little spritz there. Okay, so that is just sat really beautifully. Let's just try and get a little bit more light in here. It's raining at the moment, so obviously everything is so dark outside. So let's just sort of get that colour kind of moving around a little bit. I'm going to take just my paper towel, and I'm just going to kind of bring a little bit of that colour up. Oh, and I've got it all on the back. So let's just get another little blob going. Spritz it up. So that's such a vibrant, because it's got that pigment in, it's going to just sit more on the surface than what the actual dye inks are going to do. So let's just pick up some of that colour. So I think that's looking kind of cool. It's looking a bit grungy. Again, you just got some really nice sort of colour in there. I feel like maybe this paper has gotten kind of to the limit, maybe of where it's going to go. So there is our background. So now what I think we're going to do is focus then on using the embossing folder. So we can see kind of the areas where it's going to come. I think maybe we'll do that side. So I can kind of look through this and really see, you know, which bit I actually want to emboss onto. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a brayer just to add some colour to the inside of our embossing folder. So I think I'm going to come in here, let's just do a little bit of both. So what I'm going to do, this is the walnut stain. So I don't know if this is the right way, but we're just going to go with it. So I'm going to add, you know, both of these colours. And I'm hoping that if I do this, it's just going to kind of mix those colours together a little bit. So let's pop our background in. And then we're going to pop this through our die cutting machine. So let's take a look at how this has come out. So I'm not 100% sure really that adding the ink to the embossing folder has done much, but I don't know if that's because obviously we've got those colours on our background, but then also they're exactly the same colours. So again, I mean, it's not done tons, but it's just adding to that background again. So you've got some really lovely sections in here. It's really deeply etched now. You can see it so much more by running it through that second time. And yeah, I just think this all looks so beautiful. I might just add just some little splatters just to kind of break up a little bit of this colour. So let's just do some splatters. Let's grab another paper towel. Kind of pick up that colour a little bit. So again, it's really just going to add some depth. So I think maybe we could just do a little bit more. And I really love that you've got like this up here. It's really kind of gone a little bit white, so it has really kind of picked up the cardstock underneath. So there is our sort of really grungy kind of background, and yeah, I think this looks really great actually. I'm really happy with how this has come out. So let's just tidy up the area a little bit, and then we can carry on and see what else we want to add to our background. So definitely want to just lighten it up a little bit. We've got a lot of sort of dark colour in here. I'm wondering how we will be able to use maybe this stencil. So let's just grab our stencil. So we've got the waves in here. We do have some sort of shells and things. I don't know that the love hearts would really kind of work as well, but I'm wondering whether we could just, you know, maybe add some of these waves. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of washi tape just to hold this down. So I've had this for a while. This is metallic gilding polish by Cosmic Shimmer as well. So I've literally never ever used this. We've got a little bit on the sponge here, so let's just kind of sort of see what happens. So I'm just kind of smushing that down. But we do have that on this, so I think that looks great. So let's move it up here. So I'm not trying to be too perfect here. We just kind of want to get that impression. So let's just dab a little more on. Okay, so that's just going to add, like I said, just a little bit of texture. I think then you can sort of use it just to sort of highlight some of the raised areas. So we've got all that sort of etched detail. So it's not until you put it in the light where then it really picks up then that sort of silver sort of polish. But you can still see that really beautiful embossing folder sort of detail there. So let's take a look at what else we want to do. So of course we've got our stamp set here. So we've got this whale. I think this could look kind of cool. So let's grab a stamping block. Maybe I might go in here with maybe a little bit of black soot. I'm just going to sort of stamp it off to the side for the moment and then kind of go in there. So we literally just get an impression. Okay, so we've got that whale. We've got some fish in here as well, which I think would be really cool. So let's go in with a little bit of our peacock feathers for that. Because this is going to be really nice and kind of subtle over the background. Let's kind of pick that up in the lighter sort of areas. The fish kind of swimming all over that background. So I might even pick it up in some areas with the Distress Oxide, because these are then just going to sit a little bit more on the surface. You're just going to have a little bit more of that really vibrant colour. So I always find sort of mixed media projects a little bit harder to kind of assess whether they're a little bit of a hot mess, whether you've kind of gone too far with it. I always find it a little bit more difficult to kind of really know how I feel. But I think we'll leave the background just there. And then maybe we will just sort of turn this into a card. So maybe I'll just cut it down to the size of the actual embossing folder. So let's just trim this down. So the card base I'm going to be using, this is a 5x7 top folding card. So I want to have a nice border around my actual panel here. So I still want it to be very mixed media like, but you know, again, I still want to follow my own style, which is hopefully a little bit more sort of clean and simple. So I'm going to trim this down just a little bit further. So that's kind of more what I had in mind actually. So let's get this down. I'm going to pop this onto some foam tape, because we've got all of that embossed detail on there. I want to make sure that it sticks really nicely. Let's take our backing off. Again, you really just want to make sure this is sort of on there and that it's not going to go anywhere. So let's bring our card back. So we want to make sure that we get this really nice and central, because we've got such a lot of white space. So you've got all of that then like detail in there, and then that really sort of deep etched design in there as well. So for the sentiment, I've picked out my Simon Says stamp Hello Dies, because I think I'm not going to use the shadow. I think I might just use that hello. And then from our stamp set, there was just a message. So I'm going to have this say hello, just a message. So let's pull that off there. So what I'm thinking is I really want to bring out some of that peacock feathers. So I think I'm just going to do a really quick simple bit of ink blending for our hello. So I'm going to take just a scrap piece of cardstock. Got my foam dauber. I'm just going to do a really quick bit of ink blending, and then this is really going to help pick out all those other colours. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of washi tape just to hold this down. And then again, I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine. Okay, so we have got our hello. Which has come out really beautifully. And again, it's just going to pick up those other colours really nicely. Okay, so we have got now 2 hello die cuts. So I showed you this in one of my last videos that I use this die. I'm going to use the Crafter's Companion dotted tape pen to stack these together. Just need to line those up, just like so. Okay, and then we're going to do our top peacock feathers layer. So make sure that's sat really nicely just on top of each other. Okay, so then we have our hello. So again, like I said, we're going to then stamp just a message. So what I think I might do, so this is the watercolour cardstock. So just on the edge here, I might just put a little bit of that vintage photo. I'm going to just spritz it a little. So let's just move our project to the side. So we've got this really lovely bit of background here. So I'm going to use my stamping platform for this, just to make sure that I get a really nice stamp. I want to get as much of that detail in there as possible. So I am going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Let's go in. So we're just going to wipe this over the edges just to help, just darken that slightly. Just to give that a little extra colour in there. So this is quite light in comparison to everything else that we have going on. So let's just tape this down. So let's just go there. We've got our hello. And then our hello is just gonna sit kind of nicely just on top. And that's our card finished. So something just different than what I normally create, obviously just getting a little bit messy. Hopefully you can kind of pick up all of those details from the embossing folder, that gilding paste that we popped on there, and just all of those colours as well. And I think then just having that lighter sentiment just works really nicely with it, because it does help just pick up spots of those other colours sort of in that background. But then of course then when you pop it into the light, you can really then see all of that gilding, metallic gilding polish that we popped on there. So I hope that you liked this card. Again, something completely different, but you know, it's nice just to sort of have a play around and experiment and not sort of think too much about what the end result is going to be, because hopefully then, like this, you might just like it a little bit more. So I actually really love how this has turned out. So if you did like this video and you know, you like the mixed media kind of element of it, let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to see any more videos like this, then of course then I can sit down and create those for you. And give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it as well. If you aren't a current subscriber to my channel, then hit that subscribe button and that notification bell as well, so you don't miss out on any future videos. On screen now, you'll see a couple of other videos that I think you might be interested in if you want to check those out. But for now, that's it for today, and happy crafting.